Uh, Hope everybody has had some kind of breakfast and coffee and, you know, alive and kicking, hopefully. I'm really honored to sort of host this panel, quite a star-studded panel we have here. And the topic is also pretty interesting, decoding the role of digital leaders. I'm having a room full of digital leaders here, and I think it's time almost. Technology changes have been disrupting the industry very frequently. And we are almost at a precipice where a new tech stack has come up, artificial intelligence, data, and we have seen the roles of the CIOs, CTOs, almost now sometimes coinciding with head of HR and head of business and head of sometimes even the CEO. And a lot of work that was non-core in technology space has now become core to most of the businesses. So with that context, let me kickstart the discussion with a very simple question. And I would like to sort of ask Mr. Smitesh to begin the conversation. We've seen, and for a large organization like yourself, we've seen business itself now building code on their own, right? Citizen developers, as we call them. What kind of ecosystem would you like to build in this changing ecosystem to enable citizen development as you go ahead?
Thanks, Contact, for having me on the panel. I represent a company called Ambit Finvest Private Limited, which is focused on MSME segment, catering to unsecured, secured, and used commercial vehicles. So naturally, as SME grows, India grows. That's how the mantra is. So I would say COVID has taught everybody to be digital on the feet. As mentioned, change is the only constant. And there are pithoras of low-code, no-code platforms which have already come in. So yes, it's a boon where people can code with a click of a buttons. You can have all the technologies there. But as we move in the digital space, security is also of paramount importance. So it has to be a balance between security and innovation. At Ambit Finvest, we have developed our own low-code, no-code platform.
Wow.
Basis that, we decided that rather than having a low-code, no-code platform from outside and depending on partners, we build our own low-code, no-code platform, and basis that we have complete control on how we are going to do it. So the way I would urge is first look at what is your current state, align your culture and strategy. There are two major important points when you look at innovation and balance security. One is adopt a risk-based approach. The biggest important point is leverage security in your design. I would like to elaborate on this point. When you are developing any technologies, at the design inception phase, look at the security points. What is your external threat? Because all your applications are external facing, and with leverage in NBFC sector, a lot of people, and we have been adopting cloud as our storage. So we are on AWS cloud. So naturally, both of this has its own challenges. So the way we have done is we have leveraged security by design, where we have integrated at every stage, right from planning to development to coding to deployment and maintenance, security at every step, and that is of paramount importance. What we also see is we have also embraced the AWS cloud and their security features which come inherent. We have put added layer of security like firewall and web access firewall. The other thing which I would like to do is continuous monitoring of your ecosystem. Look at what are the external threats which are coming, because I think everybody in this will know that every other industry or your company is always attacked by external threats. So how you keep your outer parameters secured, that is important. I would say continuous monitoring and evaluation of external threat. And last, you should basically have ethical hacking done on external facing system. So if you balance all of this with innovation and security, this will really help in ensuring that you deliver right innovation to your digital team with security of paramount importance. Because if you see, regulations are also now on two major factors. One is customer, second is employee, and third is security.
Wow, that's a pretty interesting approach where you have gone and built your own platform. That's interesting. That's a pretty big commitment that you've gone into. Mr. Rana, you want to weigh in on this one?
Hi, good morning all. So yeah, we haven't been that adventurous in creating our own low-code, no-code platform. We have gone with the commercially available ones. But being a bank, we have certain processes. So the first thing we do, like he said also, create a set of what we call MBSS, minimum baseline security standards, and then thoroughly evaluate the platform and make it fit for acceptance within the bank. So what does it mean? One is you do the typical security controls. Then second is any data which is put there, that has to be encrypted with the bank's own key, so we follow BYOK. So one part is essentially securing the platform. Then the second part is, so citizen development doesn't mean anybody can go and build anything, right? Because at the end of the day, you still pay for it, whether it's a SaaS platform or an in-house developed platform or the compute resources. So it is still structured in the form of a formal project development team, in the sense that you have a business case, you have users, and then you have a development team who builds those pipelines. And then the third piece is, generally we are reluctant to capture any kind of PII data. So it's more a hybrid. So some parts happen in the low-code, no-code platform, which is a SaaS-based platform. Some parts, wherever you are capturing data which is relevant to the PII set, that comes to the bank's platform. From the user experience point of view, obviously, so this is seamless because the user doesn't recognize. And then once these are built, we largely expose these endpoints to the other properties of the bank. Now, whether it's a net banking page or a mobile banking page or any other asset the bank has, or the public website. So that way we allow for flexibility in development relative to a traditional development, because the skill sets are kind of easily acquired. One of the things which we notice, like, while the low-code, no-code platforms talk about drag and drop, I mean, even there, you do need a significant element of good design, right? Even there, you need to abide by the principles of good software development. I mean, most people say, I mean, all my data is going there, I don't have to really bother. But even though it's abstracted today, eventually if you don't have a basic thing like archival or housekeeping, that just keeps bloating up, and then performance issues start coming up, costs start growing. So, I mean, so three things, right? One is the baseline security standard, then second is follow the established software development principles, and third is you manage the cost and accesses and run it as a formal program. So that's how we have adapted the platform.
So a pretty interesting balancing act, I would say. So while we are on the customer experience topic, let me bring in Ashish. Ashish, where do you see with the new technologies coming in, artificial intelligence, generative AI, and a plethora of options to enhance customer experience, right on the front end screens to your customer service, and maybe even on the risk side? How do you see customer experience being impacted in the future?
See, I'll tell you, again, going by my experience, whenever there isn't any kind of a digital or technology disruption, it's always led by, keeping customer in the epicenter. You look at any digital, and that's what defines whether the technology will be adopted or not adopted. I mean, the classic example I can give is Web3. I mean, I know Surya's profile said that you worked on Metaverse. See, what happens in Metaverse is there is a lot of technology, a lot of use cases which were built. Eventually, it came to a point that when people understood that customers are not there, right? It will evolve as we move along. But my personal point of view is, it has its own headway, right? It's not going to happen. So that's where, it comes down that, customer defines the technology. Now, coming back to AI. Now, look at what is happening with the customer today. A customer today is, they're just spoiled by choices, and especially in the BFSI space. It's, as I always say, that it's an intangible product. What you're creating is a perception. So eventually, customer gets product based on the source of acquisition, based on a channel, based on an offer, and the margins are very different. I mean, it varies very little, and then there are these all-round messaging which is put around that. Yeah? So customer says that I don't know, what is the best product for me. You choose and you tell me, and that's where the AI comes in, because organizations need to today decide that I was in this 1 to n kind of a mode where I could target lot with one key, one thought process. Now I need to get to 1 to n, and rather 1 to me. Like, whatever gets relevant for you may not be relevant for me. So for them, to do that, and at a scale, I mean, we are a growing economy. We are 1.4 billion people. How do you do that? It's not humanly possible. And that's the problem which AI is eventually solving. So the baseline for that is, one, you start accumulate, first of all, the first stepping stone is that is data. Start collecting data, start accumulating data, start organizing your data, and then put your AI models on top of that to do that, give that kind of a customer experience at scale. Because that's the only way forward.
Pretty interesting point that you make, Ashish. Let me bring in Mr. Sandeep, since you are already in the midst of building a new platform. Would be interesting to understand your views on this one.
Sure. Am I audible? Yeah. So, yeah, I think AI and of course those technologies are important. First is what customer wants. So, I think mobile is now omnipresent. If you look at any broker, almost all volumes, whether it's 90-95% of the volumes, orders, account opening, all trading journeys, even account closure journey, everything is on mobile. So that is something which is first of all very, very important from customer experience perspective, that everything is in his pocket. He doesn't have to go anywhere. That is first what is the customer experience. Apart from that, there are a lot of innovations which are being led by a regulator, like what was a T+7 settlement, then moved to T+2, regulator moved to T+1 settlement. Now they are talking of 1 hour settlement by April.
Yeah.
And there is a talk of adopting the blockchain, where everything will get settled on a real-time basis. So I think the technology along with the regulatory intervention is substantially changing the landscape, the way in which the industry is moving forward as far as the broking is concerned. Apart from that, obviously AI has a big role to play in form of personalized recommendations to the customer. The look and feel of the app itself can be different for the every customer. The nudges what you give to every customer in the form of diversification, penny stocks, that you should not get into this kind of a thing. So I think that's all is a overall customer experience which has been led by AI. And even the robo advisory for the investment advisory firm, I think is a big thing which is happening going forward. So these all technologies are finally helping in shaping the customer experience actually.
Perfect, very interesting insights. Let me bring in Nikhil, since you cater to a very interesting market segment here. It's a pretty different one, so would love to hear your views on this topic.
Sure.
Yeah.
Thank you. I manage technology and digital transformation for APAC Financial Services. We are into the business where it is serving mostly rural Bharat. We do secured lending to micro and small enterprises. Any kirana store you see in the corner of your street possibly can be a customer to APAC. It means that they are set in different parts of the country. They are people who would speak different languages after every 30-35 kilometers. One of the things which I see, and in the lending business, it's very easy to disburse or to provide financing to the customers, but it's the right challenge is to assess the right kind of customer, onboard them, and then get the repayments. What at APAC we see and we have done is created a platform which is simple to for our employees and customers to onboard. And when we say the implementation of AI, while there are set of technologies, I think it has to be contextual to the business which we do. In APAC, what we see is in lending, you need, when you meet the customer, it has to be a consistent type of experience a customer would have. So if I'll take you to a place in Andhra Pradesh, say Rajamundry, there is Mr. Shiv Prasad who walks into the branch of APAC. Just fast forward, go to another place in Telangana, say Karimnagar. There's another person who is Mr. Ram, who is sitting in the branch, and a customer walks in. The experience may be very different because this person, the employee is different, his background is different, his style of interacting with customer is different. With the platform, what we can do, and we have seen that as a great success, as the intuitiveness of the application or the platform which you design, where what are the next set of questions based on the customer profile. How you are going to assess the customer if he is a Kirana store businessman and you need to...
So hyper-personalization sort of.
Hyper-personalization. These are the things which really help them to assess the customers consistently across the different states, different geographies and demographies of the customer. So that's one thing. Second is, I see that there's a good revolution, and we have accepted the revolution of vernacular conversational AI.
Interesting, yeah, very interesting.
Which we see is making customers, prospects as well as customers, very comfortable with organizations, especially where we serve, which is rural Bharat, where you can have a conversation in their own language, and the conversational obviously is integrated with your platform and system, so gives the right contextual information to them. These are some of the areas where we have seen a transformation. Very, very simple use cases of AI. And then we, obviously, when we advance, we are advancing towards multiple others. But these are the ones where we have seen the customer experience becoming much, much...
Awesome. And let me then finally bring in Surya. If you can bring some insurance perspective here for us.
Okay. So I'll specify on the role of digital leader. I think this is the topic. For me, the past 1 year, the learning has been, as a digital leader, how much time am I spending with 8 to 18 years old and 18 to 30 years old? And why do I say that? Because these are the digitally native guys. And for more than 80% of my life, I have been a digitally alien.
Okay.
So these are the digitally native guys, and for them, probably insurance, banking has to be something like a Roblox, Swiggy, Zomato, a game which they are playing. It could be anything, because that is what they think. For them, that is life. Yeah. So as a digital leader, this is very overwhelming. And there are a lot of initiatives, work which we work upon, thinking all these things. But yes, that can be overwhelming. So as a digital leader, I need to go to my seniors, my colleagues who have wealth of experience, bank seniors who are sitting here, my colleagues at the back. They give us a ground perspective, a market perspective, a consumer perspective, a business perspective, and together then we gel and work on new initiatives. So we have done a wellness platform we have created, which is overall well-being, physical wellness, mental wellness, and financial wellness together, which is for our ecosystem. A very, very kind of a startup which we are doing. We have got people from startup working together, the business teams, all the teams working together. We are also working on metaverse. So as a role of digital leader, it's extremely important that as a leader work with both the things, because you need to have proper speed brakes to be able to run your vehicle with the speed you want. You should not crash it, get overwhelmed with a lot of technologies which are coming up and requirements, but at the same time you have to take them along, because we probably 5 years, 6 years down the line, we would have talked about banking apps doing everything. Now the bank app is inside the Phone Pay or the Google Pay or the Paytm, and the youngsters are just using that. So that is how the road is. In insurance, it is not a penetrated market. We have always focused on processes. The need is to go out, understand what the 25-year-old, 30-year-old, 20-year-old is looking at, and design products accordingly, design journeys, processes, everything accordingly, because else the penetration remains to where we are.
Well, I have a lot of follow-up questions on that one.
Yeah.
I'll catch you separately.
Sure.
But then while we are on this topic of, rural segment, let me bring in Vishal. So rural adoption has been a key challenge in the industry. And how do you see as a PSU being, how you have the reach? How do you see your strategy aligning to tackle this problem?
Thanks a lot. Good morning for giving this opportunity. Canara Bank has 10 crore plus customers, and 60% are there in the semi-urban and rural. And average 400 people visit branches every day. So, and it is very important for us, like the QR code has been adopted very well, full India basis. So we are working with the same philosophy of QR code based simple solutions. For the purpose, we have taken 10 use cases for which those customers are coming to the branches where they can do themselves, do it yourself. So those solutions, we are simple through WhatsApp, through the QR code, we are advising those rural customers you can do at your place. We've managed through 3 ways this digital penetration. One is we have Digi-Mitras in all our branches, where objective is from the head office, we guide these Digi-Mitras, what is these platforms are there, and how with 1, 2, 3 steps you can enable the customers to do it. Second, we participate in all those different sports events in those rural areas, in the medical camps we arrange to tell them about the safe banking, like OTP should not share if somebody tells you, you should not share. Along with that, the QR code where we tell them download these solutions and you can do yourself. Third way is campaigns, we do it in vernacular basis because we see the more conversion happens better if it is vernacular compared to English because they don't, especially as a Canara Bank, most of the customers are from South India. They are not much conversant with English or Hindi. So we do 16 plus languages, whatever the communication we send in 16 plus vernacular communications to these customers and we see 10% plus through the campaigns when we send, the conversion happens. And dedicatedly twice a week, between 2 to 4 p.m., whatever the customers come, we enable those customers handhold that this is the platform, download in your mobile phone, we will work with you. And these are the 1, 2, 3 steps you can do yourself, either through WhatsApp or our AI channel, which has 300 plus feature, and do themselves. So we see the pickup is there. We see because this is the only way we can reduce the branch pressure and more digital penetration. And it is our mandate also for our India growth and the digital growth, the rural customers also accompany during this journey. These are the way we are doing.
Perfect. So I hope that has had a positive impact on the overall business for Canara Bank.
Yeah, it has positive impact. Plus, government has brought up many new schemes like PM Swanidhi, all that. And every month we have a tracking mechanism and all that. So word of mouth works a lot very well. And PM Swanidhi scheme also, we have simple ways enabled all those, the vendor customers and able to disburse them and also participate them through these PM Swanidhi schemes, which will help them in what are the credit facilities or the frictionless credit. We are working also with RBI Innovation Hub. Frictionless credit we can give to these set of customers. And that way they are able to also participate in the government schemes as well.
Perfect. So while we were also discussing about rural adoption, in parallel we were also discussing about security and fraud. So let me swing to you, Smitesh. Where do you see financial frauds in the industry, recent stories that we have heard, and where do you think the industry should go towards, regulation should go towards, and how you are as an individual entity tackling that?
So let me put this way, coming to my first point, which I just elaborated. With innovation, frauds are going to happen. That's part and parcel of life. 2 classic examples. One video I was seeing yesterday only. So with our employees and our customers, so for any company, there are 2 spectrums, 3 spectrums if I would put. Vendors we call partners. First is customers, second is employees, third are partners. You need to educate them at every step. We have a monthly mailer which goes to our employees. So I'll start first with the employees. So we have internal things. We also send phishing emails to the employees. Like 2 years back, we sent an income tax refund. We are trying to see how many people have clicked on it. And depending on that, we enhance the training. These were small things. But if you look at two simple videos which have been floating, one I was seeing yesterday, where don't hand over your mobile to any stranger. Within a minute, your account will get swiped off. Forwarding of messages and forwarding of email is very simple. Second is, I don't know whether how much true it is, but I've seen frauds where people are able to take fingerprints and Aadhaar number of yours and have been able to, without any OTP, get money using digital ATMs. This has happened, I've seen a couple of videos which have happened a month back in Delhi and NCR, where they were able to get the Aadhaar and fingerprints of yours somehow. So I'll not elaborate where it is, but that was a fraud which has happened. So these are two real frauds. Simple steps which every individual should take is, in the hack of putting yourself on the social media, whether it's LinkedIn, Facebook or Instagram, please don't put everything on public. What I need if I want to do fraud, see, when you are doing lending, I'm collecting money from you. So there the fraud is there, but less because the money is collecting. But if you're talking of a banking industry, wire fraud, identity theft fraud, account takeover, money laundering, account fraud, these are very common fraud. Please don't put your data in public. I need your date of birth, Aadhaar card, PAN number, that's it. I'm able to take your SIM card. You'll get a lot of phishing calls from the SIM card that I'll disable your SIM card. Look at electricity bill which has happened in Mumbai. So these are real frauds which are happening. People need to educate themselves. Second, don't put all your personal data on social media. Other which I also feel is, if you have small kids, don't put your photos of small kids on social media. This also has a lot of impacts. I don't need to elaborate, but people will understand. So I'm generalizing not banking frauds, but overall frauds which can really happen in industry. What can we do to reduce the frauds? One, every institution needs to monitor the transactions. There is a step in which how much monitoring of transaction you can do manually. Please collate your data on a structured way, put AI/ML on top of it and monitor your transaction. It gives you a lot of pattern. There are industry. Educate your customer, educate your employees. So looking at this, 3 major steps to be taken: education to all stakeholders, monitoring of transaction, integration of transaction, and putting automations in place to ensure that these frauds are avoided. As far as possible, put biometrics processes in place for identification of your customers, employees, and vendors. I think this is how I like to summarize.
So I would like to get in the banking perspective as well from Mr. Vishal and Mr. Rana. First, Mr. Vishal can go and then Mr. Rana. So where do you see the regulation side of things going, and how is it impacting your role as a banking CIO, CTO?
So on the Canara Bank side, what we do is we bring the awareness part on the cyber fraud. That is mandatory, which we should do it. So we do it. And this month is a national cyber security awareness. So every month, every day we are putting campaigns, sending to customers, put in the vernacular messages, 16 languages. We have put small Instagram type reels and videos for the customers about that. Secondly, RBI has a set of guidelines to follow on the cyber security, which we adapt. There are a set of rules that we have put, like on ATM, EMV chip, anti-skimming, plus we are working on a model that through AI, in ATM, if anything is happening within 2 seconds, a recorded alert will go. That is what we are working to enhance our ATM solutions. As of now, it is there. Whenever any fraud happens, we know e-surveillance system is there, but we are working how to reduce that. Then on our mobile apps and all that, there is an EFRM solution which is thoroughly been implemented with all the rules being there. And we keep modifying those rules as per the frauds which are happening. Like take the example of the collect. If we see it is a collect request, and in there we see cashback is there or the refund is there, we reject those transactions. Plus, if from the same collect, we notice that within 5 minutes, 100 plus or 250 plus requests have come, we reject it. So those rules we have put, which every fortnightly basis as per the audit and finding, we keep modifying that. Then there's a privilege PIM solution been implemented, SIEM has been implemented, and a monthly basis the audit happens where we redefining these EFRM solution to ensure the fraud gets reduced. Plus, we have a multiple internal discussions with RBI as well, where we share our observation and we get their findings. And together we work how to build a collaborative solution, especially on the recent frauds which are happening a lot on the UPI, and how we bring awareness to the clients that this is what we should do it to avoid their UPI related. Like recently what has happened in OLX, where anybody has put a video, you get a call, and you will assume that there is a money will come, but the client will accept it and the collect UPI pin you will put and the money will go away. So these are the things which you are enhancing and bringing awareness to the clients on this part.
Okay. Mr. Rana, your perspective, anything that is impacted because of the CERT regulations or CERT guidelines that have come in, maybe that will be interesting as well.
No, so actually, I thought I'll touch upon the increase in the attack surface because of the adoption of digital technologies. So broadly, there are 4 areas, right? One is people look for a great user experience through a mobile, which means the journeys are expected to be more and more frictionless, which means nobody wants OTPs and in-your-face multi-factor authentication. So how do you deal with that? Then the next expectation is that you would want to be able to build headless journeys through a strong API infrastructure, right? And then the third area would be you want to look at elasticity of compute by adoption of cloud, whether it is public cloud or private cloud. And the fourth area will be the leveraging the data assets of any organization. Now each of them actually build and multiply the risks multifold. And at each layer, people deal with it differently. So if you look at the UI layer, because you want to give a seamless user experience, so you end up with trying to make it as frictionless as possible. Therefore, people go to more and more behavioral biometrics rather than multi-factor authentication was there, but that has also kind of got simplified into fingerprint or face match, right? And what has come up is now a lot of this understanding or recognition of the fraud has moved behind the scenes in the form of more real-time transaction monitoring, more real-time transaction tracking. So earlier, maybe you would be running queries to detect patterns. Now you define those patterns in a ML engine, and that tracks the transaction in the flow itself. And then depending on the rules, like sir also said, they go to some manual queue for review or go through straight, depending on the risk appetite of the organization. So that's one area which has come up new. Then the API side anyway was always there, but I think if you look at the layers of security in the API, whether it is mutual SSL and so on and so forth, so they have increased, and along with the restrictions. Adoption of cloud has been big. But the way banks generally adopt it is you end up building what we call a landing zone for each public cloud provider, and then you secure the perimeter the way you would secure your traditional data center. So that way, while your elasticity of compute, etc., is there, you are still, because you are controlling the ingress and egress into the public cloud platform through your security standards rather than relying on a cloud security standard, because sometimes, the bank security standards end up being higher than what the public cloud provides, particularly in the area of layer 7 security and all, which till about 2 years ago, some of the CSPs didn't have that, right? So that's the third layer where you secure, and of course any data in the cloud, while it is encrypted by the cloud provider, you would still want to use BYOK and secure the premises. The fourth part is while data is there and data is there everywhere, I think a lot of emphasis has now started on creating common data models, and then on those common data models, you want to lay access management, who has got what rights. So the whole data governance piece has been, picking up steam, at least in our bank, in the sense of building those layers and then controlling and regulating access. Typically, people would start with a warehouse, then go to a lakehouse architecture, from where you are able to. So you still want to be able to federate, because unless you are able to give data to the teams, your digital penetration, digital outreach is limited. So while you want to follow a principle of federated ingestion and federated distribution, you would still want to keep a central warehouse or your Delta Lake layer which is tightly governed. All your models are governed, accesses are governed and audited. So these are the 4 layers broadly which, while they increase the attack surface, the ways to secure them, at least in our bank, that's what we have been adopting. And like sir also said, the regulator is also very keen on these, while they don't say no to any of those adoption, they have come out with clear ask guidelines and fairly strict reviews. There are other interesting asks like, this whole vendor lock-in, for example, is perceived to be one of the biggest risks, right? I mean, and particularly with public cloud. So once you have started something, so there are a lot of initiatives on how do you have failover. So earlier it was DR, right? I mean, you have primary data center and a secondary data center. Now we are trying to explore, I have a primary cloud and a secondary cloud, and how do I do a seamless failover, right? So which means your entire application architecture itself goes for a significant change.
Yeah, yeah.
So, I mean, I could go on and on, but in the interest of time, I'll pause.
Sure.
But
pretty
recently,
interesting,
as
yeah.
per the regulatory, there was a mandate that if it is in debug mode, you can't allow the app to be open. So that we implemented few days before. And then as we see many frauds every day, and then there's a solution mass, which helps us a lot to, where remote control or any malware happens, it will not allow open the screen. The screen will go blank. So that helps, because end of that is our duty to ensure the customer data is safe.
Pretty interesting topic. So let's switch gears. Let's move from technology to people. Probably. So we have seen, while our roles are not only limited to technology, it's also about making a cultural change, mindset change in the organization, managing stakeholders. So Sandeep, since you are, making sure that such kind of a cultural change also happens with new products that you develop, right? Would love to hear your sort of thought process on how you drive a culture change, bring in innovation, while making people feel secure about what the future is going to be. I'd love to hear your thoughts on that.
Sure. So I'll talk about what are the blockages in implementing the digital transformation and how do you go about it. I'll talk of 3 or 4 general trends what I observed in getting any digital transformation done in any large scale organization, especially the legacy organizations, if I may want to call it.
Yeah, sure.
So one is clearly a resistance to change. People don't want to change. That's the first thing. They will say what we have is good. There will be only one set of people at the top who will say there is a need to change, but the execution has to actually happen at the bottom layer. And those people need to be persuaded that there is a need to change. So how do you do that is only by communicating to them, constantly talking to them and explaining to them what this change is going to mean for you and for your customers. And I think if you are able to convince them on that, then obviously that resistance goes away. It's a lengthy process, but I think it depends on your influential skill on how do you influence the people. The other thing what I've seen is a top-down approach where, or inside view approach where the CEO or someone will say this is what we should be doing. Then you are actually stifling getting the ideas from downstream basically. So you need to have the outside in view. You have to talk to your customers and understand how they use your application, what are their pain points, etc., and then probably solve those journeys. And that's why it's important to be having outside in view rather than the top in view is what I would say. The third is, I think the silos. Again, as I said, if it is a legacy organization, I think a lot of silos gets created and probably sometimes they work for the cross purpose. Everyone will want to protect their side of the story and probably may not think through the whole organization perspective. So again, there it's important that you get the cross-culture collaboration at the inception stage itself, involve all the stakeholders, whether it is compliance or whether it is the IT or the security team, etc. Because these are the people who probably can even stop your certain activities. So how do you get them into confidence and get the project working all along, I think is very, very important. The fourth one is fear of failure. that people don't want to implement
Very
certain
interesting.
things because they think that I'll get punished if something goes wrong. So I think it's important to encourage that, and that has to be driven from the top, where you encourage the failures. I'm not saying it has to be always the failure, but allow people to try out. And that's why I think this agile way of working helps, where you basically implement the things faster, roll it out faster, and then keep listening to the customer feedback and keep making those adjustments. So that is where, and reward basically anything which is good happens, but don't punish every small mistake. I think if these three or four things are taken care of, largely I think any digital transformation in any of the organization can be successful.
Perfect. Surya, your thoughts, since you have been disrupting a few things.
So, see, as marketers, we talk about CLTV, customer lifetime value. When you are driving large transformation projects, with your team, you will have to talk about ELTV, employee lifetime value. See, what is the value I am bringing to you by you working with me? So that is something which I categorically do with my set of people and with my stakeholders and my business users as well. What is the value that you are bringing to the table, and what is the value you are getting in return? So that is something which is extremely important. So I'll give you an example. Our team has a mix of all these startup guys coming in, tech guys. For them, it is like they are bringing in the startup experience, the tech experience. For them, it is the business experience that they are getting. How a business function is looking at things, how a bank is looking at things, how is a salesperson looking at things, how is a business owner looking at things. So that is the learning for them. For us, it is like, because they come from a startup background, getting things done fast and turning it around very fast is something which has been their bread and butter, and they have grown that like that. So
Yeah.
it is a synergy kind of a sorts which gets built into.
Yeah, I completely echo your thoughts. Let me sort of switch gears. Ashish, since you have been driving customer experience across the board, what sort of KPIs are people looking at? Not only from a customer experience point of view, but from a digital transformation point of view. Since the role has evolved, there will be obviously some new KPIs that transformation leaders should be tracking. Any thoughts on that?
Yeah, so first of all, we need to look at that. Why would an organization go through a digital transformation? If you typically look at, they're trying to solve a bigger problem. That problem could be that I want a higher conversion, at the top of the funnel. I want to save some cost, or I want to create a better experience. And that better experience could be for an employee or for a customer. So how you should measure it? I mean, I have a view that there should be a qualitative view and a quantitative view. Like, when you look at the qualitatively, we are looking at two things primarily, which any such digital transformation should bring in. One is customer experience, and then is the employee experience, exactly what Surya spoke about, right? Because at the end of the day, when you bring out any change, it needs to impact a life of somebody. Technology has to impact a life of somebody, right? Because of their day-to-day working. I agree with Sandeep as well that it brings in a lot of challenges around that. I don't want to change, and I have a fear of failure and all that. But at the end of the day, that's where the quantitative part comes in. Because, my employee is happy, my customer is happy, so I've done something right. Now, when you look at the qualitatively, and I'll break it down from from the life cycle of what a customer goes through, an employee goes through. First of all, when if I look at when the customer is getting acquired, you look at things around conversion rate. You look at things around how much data have you augmented, how much data have you collected, what has been your overall I would say reduce in the overall churn. These are the things which actually tells you, give you a gist of you've set up like the right technology. Then if you look at at the service side of it, am I getting a better CSAT? Am I getting better NPS scores? Is my average handling time for a resolution, is it reducing? is there, you know, my customers are getting more digitally more savvy and they're interacting with me more digitally, because that's the space I can, you know, sort of scale. You know, you need to reduce the human dependency. So if I have all these technology enabled, if I have all these matrix enabled, then I can somewhere kind of raise my hand and say I've gone through the digital transformation. Digital transformation is not plugging in a technology.
Like we have 30 seconds left. So one last question to each of you. Answer in one sentence or one word if possible. One by one, starting with Mr. Smitesh, what would be your message to a future leader in your team as you go ahead?
See, everybody's in the line of business. So business delivering change to customer, partners, stakeholders, and employees. So as long as you're able to do that, look at all these three spectrum as rightly mentioned. Look at this matrix. If you have the matrix defined, success or failure is an outcome, but put your inputs, take business and all the stakeholders. That's how digital transformation should look at. It's not working silo that I put a technology and it works. Technology has to have an outcome, whether positive, on which side of the spectrum.
If I were to sum up in one word, any digital transformation, if it has to be successful, you have to be customer-centric. The customer centricity is absolutely important. You have to look at, as I said, what is the pain point of the customer, how he uses your app, and then probably try to solve those problems. Until you know exactly what your customers want, what you build is not going to be adopted. So I think that is what is important, and all the decisions what you take then has to be aided by the data. That the data and talking to the customer, these two combined thing can help any digital transformation to be successful.
It's very important to know the purpose why you are putting that digital platform or I want customers to use that platform, because unless until that purpose is not there, customer will not come to your platform. Second thing is, it has to be trusted. Whenever the customer is coming, 10 out of 10 times it has to work. If it does not work, customer will not come to your platform. So I would say the purpose of the platform and the trust the customer will gain with your platform.
Reliability, basically.
Observation is key. You keep your eyes, ears, everything, all things open and keep observing. There is a lot of innovation, there is a lot of things which are happening around, you just pick it up, and that is the thing everyone has to do. Yeah.
Observation, okay, interesting.
One statement would be thinking of digital transformation, keeping a focus on customer experience through a secured platform, making things more predictable through investing in predictability models for lending, propensity of default, propensity of a lead to login conversion or customer conversion, so that the experience for customers as well as employees inside is all consistent and is all predictable.
Perfect.
So I'll take more than one sentence, sorry for that. So see, one thing which I want to start with in saying is that, see, disruption is coming, and you know, this is more like a future-looking way. That disruption is coming. You know, one side is there is a, and especially from a BFSI spectrum, there is a regulatory who is setting up a lot of guardrails, and on the other side we have a customer who's getting extremely impatient. I mean, you look at it, kids in our house. I mean, how impatient are they versus what we were like, you know, 30 years back? So disruption is coming. We need to be ready. We need to be ready with right technology and right processes, so that we are, you know, somewhere we can say that, you know, we are up for it. We are up for the challenge.
Rana sir.
No, so I will go with the rest and say that don't do digital for the sake of digital or technology, do it for the customer.
Perfect. Quickly, any questions from the audience here? Yes, sir.
Truly a power-packed session. Thanks, Saket, and to all the panelists. Slightly a sensitive question, you may find it that way. If you're not comfortable, you could probably answer it from the effort standpoint. The reason why I'm saying sensitive is I'm going to talk about the budget. You know, looking at what digital leaders are doing today, much said about the technology adoptions, the various aspects, including the people. looking at 2023, we're almost close to the year end, where do you see yourself, spending most of your budget? Is it to keep the lights on, or have you spent significant budget on innovation, or has it always been on people?
At Canara Bank, I can say that we are the largest who has, on the digital side, we have spent. On the GEM portal also, we are the largest one. And more focus is on the digital product and reinventing the existing solutions to be future ready. There we are, keep spending and will keep spending.
Thank you.
Yeah. So at Daiichi Life, they have innovation round twice a year. So as I was speaking about You Matter, the app, the wellness ecosystem which we have created is a genesis from that. And we are also working on metaverse on it. That also is a part of that. So we are working on a lot of fronts. Technology with on the bank integration, which is our bread and butter, that part, and also we are doing a lot of innovation. So it has to be a 360-degree approach. You cannot be living yourself only to the bread and butter, or you cannot be doing only innovation. This has to be your core area of focus, and obviously you have to innovate so that you be future ready for 2 years, 3 years down the line. Yeah.
I just have one view there. So when somebody talks about the budget, it should be more like an inside-out view, right? So where are you in terms of the overall journey? And then you should look at it when you look at any kind of a transformation, whether it is a must-have, or it's good to have, or is it something which maybe I can do away with, or maybe I can have it in phase 2 or later in the day. And then you should look at it that, what feeds into this transformation. Like, anything which is must-have, you have to do it, right? I mean, there is no two ways about it. Anything which is good to have, what is the output you're going to get out of that? Is it worth spending that kind of money on that? And then anything which is phase 2, you will always think that, I can put it on the back burner and look at it later. So every organization should have an inside-out view rather than looking at, how the other organizations are doing it on that.
Sure, thank you.
No, see, typically, if I look at my org structure, so there's a clear segregation between what we call run the bank and change the bank. Okay. But having said that, see, in the change the bank, you would probably be setting up the base infrastructure for the digital leap, which is your cloud adoption, better user experience, API infrastructure, and data infrastructure. But the API infrastructure would still run on a core banking system, which is there at the bank for quite a while, and it is likely to remain. While you will have, there is a lot of buzz about what we call, hollow the core. So which essentially means you start taking out functions from the core and create them as a separate microservice or microsystem, and thereby upload a bunch of documents. And on the phone, it's not really funny, to put a 12-month bank statement. So it will continue to remain like that, I feel, for quite a while, and whether it is 50-50 or 60-40 or 30-70 would depend on as you go up the maturity curve in terms of digital adoption. Fintechs have a different story altogether because whoever is a late entrant, they would have probably started very differently, right? But I think for a lot of us, it's a good mix of what we have and what we are trying to build for the future.
Thank you so much. It was a selfish motive, sorry. I'm a marketer and I run marketing for Explio, so I wanted to understand how you see in terms of utilizing a budget. Really appreciate it. Thank you. Yeah.
Hello. So thank you for this insightful session. I have one very small question. Maybe it's helpful for everyone here. So since we are moving to digital, I think every company or take it a small grocery shops, go it for Blinkit or anything. Everybody is adopting chatbot these days. And even if you want to book a cylinder, so it's like everything is automated these days. So this is an example where everywhere it is digitized and automated. So when we give our personal information, don't you think the data that we provide is compromised there? Or what is your thoughts on that?
I think RBI has come with the data privacy bill. It's going to be more than what EDR is. And I think in next 1 year, you see a major difference. So,
yeah, definitely, I wanted to hear
so
on the DPDPA.
data, customer, employees, vendors.
Okay.
I
Thank
think
you,
I
sir.
answered your
And
question.
just one more thought. When you spoke about the biometrics getting stealed on the Aadhaar, or so there is a solution come up actually. So
There is
you
no
can,
solution. Now, this is actually done. I can't answer in public forum, but I'll give you the insights where it has happened. So, it's a collaborative fraud which has happened. So,
Okay.
yeah, it's a collaborative fraud which has happened in Delhi NCR.
Okay.
Yeah.
So recently, I just have done this option, like you can lock your biometrics.
Yeah,
So
yeah,
I think that
that
is the
I'm
one
aware.
solution.
But still, people in India are knowing how to break the barriers.
Thank you, sir. Thank you so much.